Welcome back to the Ortiz Outtakes. I'm Mela.
Hey, and I'm Carlos, and today we are diving into the Marvel's latest flame. I mean, literally. We're diving into the brand new Fantastic Four movie that just hit the theaters.
And we were there opening night and taking notes. So, first, we're going to dive in to our spoiler free overview. Anyone who hasn't seen it, it is safe for you to listen. So, let's talk about what you can know without me getting hunted down by Marvel's spoiler SWAT team. This new Fantastic Four reboot is directed by Matt Shackman, who you might know from WandaVision. And yes, the vibe definitely carries over.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And as you know, the cast was absolutely stacked. But just in case you've been living underground with the Mo Man, we got like Pedro Pascal, which been like, he's been in everything.
And
He
I
is
don't
playing.
care.
He's playing Reed Richards, aka the Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, bringing so much range to the Invisible Woman. Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, our chaotic fireball lover boy. Ebon Moss Backrack. If I said that wrong, please just hit me up in the comments. He's playing Ben Grimm, and he eats this role up, y'all. Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer, Shalaba.
Like we said, y'all, this cast is stacked. And just like all the names that we just listed, if you still don't know who these people are, Pedro was in The Last of Us. He is the Mandalorian. Um, Joseph Quinn is in Stranger Things. Stranger Things, like season 5, is coming out. He was such a strong character in season 4. Ebon is in The Bear. He's cousin and cult classic. Well, I don't even know if it's a cult classic, but one of the best shows, Girls. He was also in that show. And of course, we all know Julia Gardner as Ruth from Ozarks. And I want you guys to tell me in the comments where, like, what things I should watch from Vanessa Kirby, because she's the only one I'm not too like. She's the only one I haven't seen a lot of work from, and I'm not saying it's because she doesn't have a lot of work. I'm just unfamiliar. So let me know what I should watch so I can, because after watching this, I'm a Vanessa Kirby fan.
Same here. I really liked what she did with the role, and I'm so happy that I didn't listen to all the naysayers about this movie, and especially her role. But
Mm-hmm.
story wise, it's a cosmic origin, but with a twist. They already have their powers and have been the heroes of the earth for a while already. Instead of redoing the same origin story that we have gotten in the past, and they have still not gotten it right, the four are instead pulled into something way bigger, protecting the end of the earth from a planet eater, Galactus and his herald, the Silver Surfer, forcing Reed and the family to face the classic trolley problem.
If you're not familiar, viewers, this is like, if you take philosophy 101, or this has probably just been presented to you in a discussion with friends or something, but pretty much it goes, you're on a trolley and the two railroads split into two, and the railroad and the trolley brakes are broken, and on one side is a group of people, and on the other side is like one person or a baby. And so which track do you choose? And you have to pick a track. So this is kind of like the ordeal, the type of like hard decision that this movie makes the family face. So let's jump into the cinematography. I loved it. It was chef's kiss. The visual effects was practical in places, which I do love, but there are a few instances where we do get some Twilight baby vibes. If you know, you know. Do you know?
Yeah.
Not Renesmee, but I think the baby was still cute. And so basically, overall, the vibes were very much retro 60s meets modern day tech. Think Marvel superheroes meets the Jetsons. And that's exactly what it was. Personally, I loved it. I felt like they were not scared to make a comic book kind of movie.
My
I was,
verdict is it's worth the trip, okay? Especially if you are a cosmic Marvel nerd.
and we know. We know y'all are. So now we're gonna get into some spoiler territory and Easter eggs. So if you haven't seen it, pause this, go buy a ticket, and maybe grab some Sour Patch Kids and come back because we're going full spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So right away,
Right.
when the movie starts, the screen reads Earth 828. So boom, we ain't wondering what Earth this is in. This is 828, and I want to note that that is a nod to Jack Kirby's birthday, which is August 28th. That wasn't the only nod to the creators Stanley and Jack Kirby. There were plenty of things sprinkled in all throughout the entire film. We even learned that the ship that the Fantastic Four went on for that origin story where they came back with the powers was called Excelsior, which is one of Lee's most famous catchphrases. And that's another, if you know, you know. So we're in the 1960s retro-futuristic alternate universe, and as we said earlier, the Fantastic Four are already established as heroes, and they're fighting many of their famous foes in an amazing montage at the start of the film, such as Red Ghost Super Apes, which we do see some orangutans and angry apes, and we see Giganto, the giant green monster, and then of course we see Mole Man and how Sue Storm was able to, make an agreement with him. There's and way more. It's like countless. Like you have to just see it for yourself. They give so many Easter eggs in this opening, just in this opening montage.
And throughout the whole movie, if you look at some of the stuff, if you look at some of the signage that they have in the stores, the names of the stores, it's all a homage to Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and various other folks. You know, they have Atlas Comics. They have I I know there's one that's called Lee's books or something like that. But if you look at it, you slow it. Once it starts streaming online, and you start watching it at the house, go ahead and pause it every so often because you're gonna see plenty of little Easter eggs and homages. And of
Mm,
course, you can't forget their biggest villain, Doctor Doom. We got a quick peek of him at the mid post credit scene and a suspiciously empty Latveria seat at some world weapons peace talk. It looked like it was like a United Nations type of meeting in which,
yes.
yes, he was not there. There was not a representative. So that's a little bit suspicious. Makes you go,
Hmm. Yeah.
But let's talk about the villain of this movie, Galactus. After the Silver Surfer goes to warn the Earth, the Fantastic Four decide to go to have a talk with Galactus, but things don't go as planned. He demands their unborn baby, Franklin Richards, for the survival of the Earth. And Sue said, "Oh, hail to the nah." So they barely escape, and Reed gets to the drawing board.
Oh yeah. And speaking of barely escape, it was chaos happening in in this what is it? In this spacecraft. First of all, Sue goes into labor immediately. So she's giving birth while the Silver Surfer is chasing them, trying to kill them or whatever.
Yeah, through a black
Sue,
hole.
yeah, through a black hole, and Sue is ruthless. She tells Johnny, kill her, like straight up. She says, kill her. She's trying to kill your nephew. And then Johnny's like, oh God, I just was starting to like this girl. And then
Yeah.
and then but this is, I just want to say that this was one of the highlights for me of the whole movie, was them escaping from this black hole. Silver Surfer was actually surfing, like using the board. She was surfing a black hole, and she's like, it's like if it was a surfboard on waves. Everything happens, and they get to Earth, and they are honest, and they're like, hey, we didn't stop him because he wanted our son. And all of Earth was said, okay, so give him your son.
Yeah.
So there's this whole thing, like how you're talking about the UN meetings and stuff like that. The only missing country is Latveria, and Doom fans know that's where Doom is from.
That's his home country. That's where he's from.
Yeah, so, if you want to start making, guesses or speculations, then we're just like, where was 828, Earth 828, Doctor Doom during this time? Like, where was he? Because this was a very important thing happening. Like, Earth is about to be destroyed. So, Reed, like I said, or we said, he gets to the drawing board and he figures out teleportation. So he's like, what if we move Earth?
We should lock our doors!
We should call my nephew.
We should dig a moat!
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else!
That idea may just be crazy enough to get us all killed!
So that's his idea. He's gonna move Earth, and then Galactus can't find them, and they get the whole world in on this. Everybody starts building. All of this is also going on while Johnny is on his hot streak on Duolingo.
Him working on listening to some recordings that Reed Richards had recorded, and he figured it out, and he was able to talk with the Silver Surfer her own language, and Shalabah kind of showed him where she was from, and why she's doing what she's doing, and it all turns out that she was a scientist on her home planet when Galactus was coming to kill her planet, but she managed to talk with Galactus to take her as his herald to save her planet. So she had to make that ultimate sacrifice, and she conveyed that to Johnny Storm, and that's kind of like that was kind of a point in the movie in which they both connected, and she seemed more like how he said kind. It's like he saw her and not as an evil person, but as somebody that was thrust into a position that they was forced to do. They didn't give a whole lot of Galactus origin, but go to the comic books, Google it.
Yeah, all we know about him is that Shalabah is his herald, and he has an eternal hunger, and he has to eat planets, and he's huge, ginormous. He just destroys any planet in his way. But basically,
he started off as a man, just like everybody else.
But he says that Franklin is gonna take his place so he can finally rest. So that's why he wants Franklin. As far as Reed and Suno, they think that he's a normal baby, but obviously he's hiding his powers or something. But I want to say, to your point of Johnny learning her language, he actually gets to talk to her and learn about her, and she just says still sorry, there's no stopping this. But she comes back to help them.
When they were building those big transporter towers across the whole planet, in order to transport the Earth to another point in the universe, or to another universe,
anywhere,
and it would take Galactus forever to find. That was his plan. The universe is vast. It's endless. So he wouldn't know where the Earth went. So that was a good plan. However, Silver Surfer got to the planet and busted each and every one of them things. The only one that she didn't break was the one that was right there on Times Square in New York.
Yes. So luckily, they were able to think of another plan really quick. And their whole plan now was to lure him in by using Franklin, because that's who he wants. Luring him into this portal area and push him into the portal, into a black hole. So they did end up, this is the spoiler section. They did end up successfully doing that, but not without Sue being a badass and with the Silver Surfer doing a quick surfboard slap to
Yeah,
Galactus.
cause Galactus was almost in the dimensional
The
portal,
mm-hmm.
but he was still gonna about to come out, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, he was gonna go ahead and sacrifice himself and push him in. But just as he was about to do it, the Silver Surfer pushed him out the way, and
Mm-hmm.
she went and used her cosmic power and pushed him in, and the hole closed.
Right on
So
time.
both Silver Surfer and the Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, they did a great job on that one, and because of all of the power that she exerted, Sue Storm, she actually died.
And she just uses so much power where that she does end up like killing herself to save her family, and it's
Yeah.
really sad.
But it was totally a team effort. The whole you could see, and I like the way they did it. Because even Herbie the robot was doing
Yeah.
something. He was taking care of Franklin.
Yes.
And but the thing is everybody helped. And it was a total team effort and family effort. And
And
at the
then
end, Sue Storm, she was laying on the ground, and she passed away. I mean, Reed Richards came over and tried to do CPR, but it didn't help. And then they placed the baby on top to say goodbye, the last goodbye. And just so happens the baby put his little hands on her chest and gave her life again with the cosmic power that he has within him, and
and,
brought
and
her back to brought her back to life. I really like the way that they did it. It should be at the end. Um, they showed everybody took a piece, and they were able to defeat Galactus and the Silver Surfer. So at the end, so Franklin Richards wanted to read The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin,
mm-hmm.
but Sue Storm, she was like, no, 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 no. We already read that. We're not going to read that. And she picked another child's book. So that was kind of like a little nod right there to what's to come with Franklin Richards, because if you don't know by now, he will be the most strongest cosmic mutant
Mm-hmm.
in the MCU. And that is why all of these powerful villains, they're looking to get Franklin Richards while he's a baby. Because once he grows up, you're not gonna mess with him. Doctor Doom is next on the list. First now is Galactus and the Silver Surfer, but now Doctor Doom, in which they after the little cutaway, she's went to go and get her book or his book to read. When she looks, guess who's there? Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't show his face, but he didn't have his mask on. And it looks like Franklin Richards was touching his face. And maybe they might have him all scarred up, because you
Yeah.
remember he does have the disfigurement, and that's why he wears that mask in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was another little uh it was not little, it was a big mid-credit scene, something important to watch for the next movie. But and that's
And
kind of like where it ends right there. I know they did the cartoons at the end
yeah,
too.
at the very end of the movie, they did do like a Fantastic Four short cartoon with the Angry Apes, and it was kind of like an opening scene to a cartoon, like when there's
Yeah.
like the opening. But then it also had a quote from Jack Kirby. If you look at my characters, you will find me. No matter what kind of character you create or assume, a little of yourself must remain there. And then that was Jack Kirby, and then they also had his birthday, and then that's where you can see the 828 number and things like that. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people also who were being haters online about the end scene credit, they're like, don't waste your time waiting to the end. I'm just like, we gotta relax as a society. Like, we already got a
Yeah,
cool mid credit scene, and usually
yeah,
if you really been staying like to the end, the last scenes have been kind of like nothing or funny. So I thought it was cool that we got the cartoon, and the quote from Jack Kirby is I think is important to the creation of the Marvel universe, and also just for any creators. Period. Like, I think it's the director's way of saying, when you create things, no matter what you say, like, there is a little bit of you in everything that you do. So
yeah.
to me, I take it as a creator, myself, I take that message and it spoke to me. And don't just put out things just to put out, like, put out things you actually care about, because people are going to look at it and they're going to look at you. So that's how
Yeah.
I took it. And so I liked it. Like I said, I was a huge fan, but I do want to get into anything that you didn't like. Not necessarily didn't like, but we do have to point out a few things because
Yeah, we talked about all the good things, so let's
yeah.
let's go ahead and point out some bothersome points.
So a
I won't
few,
say bad, but I say
yeah.
bothersome.
So there's like a few things that I was like, wait. I left the movie. I said, wait, what? What happened to John Malkovich?
So, they cut John Malkovich's part like maybe a week or 2 weeks before the actual date, for the premiere. So I didn't like that part right there, but the way that they did it, it kind of coincides with what I was gonna say about the flow of the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of I kind of see what they was doing. I did want to see John Malkovich, in the movie because he's an awesome actor, and he plays a good villain, and I like the what he does, he's very talented. However, just switching back, like if you watch the beginning and the montage that they did when they're fighting all their villains, um, I understand that what Marvel was trying to do as far as cutting down and getting straight to the point with Galactus, because I tell you, we didn't have to wait too long to see Galactus.
Yeah,
It was like it was like boom, like some movies they were like, well, 90 minutes later, then all of a sudden somebody gets their powers, like like with Superman is getting his ass kicked for
it was.
90 minutes in the movie,
Yeah, it
and
was like
then
watching an episode of the cartoon.
yeah, so it was not anything like that. I really liked the way. So I guess by them cutting John Malkovich, unfortunately, it gave them, and it didn't seem too choppy, or edity.
Mm-hmm.
There's some parts that, yeah, maybe you can see the little edits, but I think that adding him probably would have made it a little bit more, because they had the Mole Man, you know, the Mole Man, and I think they could have had him too, but I don't know. I,
Well,
I I just
they
think that
did.
it still flowed right.
They
Who? No,
did
I'm
have
talking about the Ghost, the Red
no.
Ghost.
Oh, the red ghost. But
Yeah, the Mole
speak.
Man. I saw. Yeah, I saw that part, and
Speaking of the mole man, Sue or Vanessa has said in interviews that they did cut like a whole scene of her going down, hanging out with Mole
down
Man. Yeah,
the
going under.
subterranean
Hmm.
tunnels.
Going to talk to Mole Man and sharing a drink with him. And she says she loved that part and that she hopes like maybe someday we can see it. But the director has already said there's no chance we're getting a director's cut.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of people that, in my opinion, definitely had scenes cut, is the freaking Natasha Leone.
Yes, yes, and she's a fan. To me, I really like her. I would think that she's one of the fan favorites.
Yeah, and I liked seeing her, in any scene she was in, I was like, oh, yay, finally, or whatever.
Yeah, she
but
had like what, probably 1 minute
two
scene.
scenes. Yeah, two 1 minute scenes. And
Yeah,
originally, we didn't know who she was going to play, and we thought that she was going to play Alicia Masters, but apparently she plays someone named Rachel Rosman. So,
yeah,
unless they kind of do, I guess, like a Spider Man thing with, with how Zendaya is MJ,
yeah.
but like, I feel like they cut. I mean, I didn't feel like Ben's character wasn't fully developed, but it would have been nice to get more of scenes with him. I think that they were scared it was too gonna be too long or something, but I think we're used to long movies now. You know?
I agree with you on the Natasha Leone. I would have liked to see her in a little bit more, maybe a little bit more involved, but not to the point like freaking uh not like the Flash and his girlfriend. What's his name? So his girlfriend is like, it started off okay, but then his girlfriend started like getting involved and shit. Like she was the damn superhero. I was like, yo, you're not a superhero. You're gonna get hurt. I didn't, I didn't want her to get involved like that now, but at least have a couple of scenes, maybe like him, going to see her and spending a night there or something like that, but not like, showing anything, but like,
Yeah,
you
because
feeling me?
he
Like,
he
have
was
dinner or
like,
something.
yeah, and then he went to go see her like right before the Earth was probably about to end, and like that's all we got. Yeah, and I think the biggest like thing from the Fantastic Four movie that a lot of people are highlighting is that they felt like they didn't have to watch everything to enjoy
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good for the people who don't watch superhero movies who decided to watch this movie, and that's the magic of having Pedro Pascal on your cast.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, let's not make every movie like that. I like how everything's connected.
Yeah, no, I do too. I do too. But I really, like I said, and I can't say it enough. I really enjoyed the way that they made this movie because it kind of they didn't go into another story. They went right in it from the very beginning. Within the first damn 15-20 minutes, we was already looking at freaking Galactus, you know?
Hmm.
And they did not waste any time telling that story and putting the little connectors out there to the next movie, as far
Yeah.
as, having a viable timeline and whatnot. So, like I said, I enjoyed it because of that. It didn't go off into like a one story here and then an alternate story. It
Hmm.
was not. It was just one story the whole way. You feeling me?
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
It
And
was just
then
one story the whole way. It wasn't like the Thing story over here and Sue's story over here and Reed's story. It was like multiple shit. It's just one fucking story, everybody together, and they all experiencing the same shit, and they all finish doing the same shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And then so okay, so what would you rate it out of five? Five
I give it a 4. I give it a 4.
a Fantastic Four?
A Fantastic Four. and
Yeah, me
and
too.
yeah, I would give it a 4 because like it was not, to me, it was not my Back to the Future and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because my Back to the Futures, that's a 5.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's my best movie of all time, plot holes and all.
Yeah.
But this one, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4, and that's only because the acting was good, the action was good, the cinematography was good, the music score was good, and although it wasn't a full two, it wasn't a full 2 hours, right? It
No,
was
I
less
don't
than
think
that.
so.
They still got the story told.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, it was still a happy ending, but then it wasn't a happy ending completely. So
Yeah.
because it had to to connect to the next movie. So I give it a 4 because of all of those things that I mentioned: the music,
Yeah.
the special effects, the acting, and what I say? What
And
was
the
my first
acting.
one?
No, just kidding.
The acting, and the acting, and the acting.
Well, I give it a 4 for all the same reasons. I give it a 4 for the time period, for Pedro Pascal, and for Sue Storm and Silver Surfer for serving the whole movie, and for Pedro Pascal.
Damn, again.
Those were our thoughts on Fantastic Four and more. And so tune in and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we have more videos like this in the future. Bye.
Definitely. All right, peace.
Peace.
Peace.